The letter shook in my hands as I sat behind the wheel. I could feel my mother-in-law's usual judgment pressing down on me from the passenger seat. I had found the letter in my wallet that morning. The envelope had my late father-in-law's familiar handwriting on it, simply saying, "For Karen. Open after." "Watch the road, dear." Lori's voice cut through my thoughts. We wouldn't want to end up in a ditch before reaching the estate. I'm Karen. For the past 3 years, I've been the black sheep of the family, the woman who, according to Lori, stole their beloved James from the future they had planned for him. In her eyes, he was supposed to marry someone better, someone more suitable. "The roads are completely fine, Lori," I said calmly, even though I wanted to snap back. The drive to the family estate was 3 hours long, and it already felt endless, and we were only halfway there. She adjusted her fancy scarf, a sign I had come to know meant another rude comment was coming. "I suppose you're used to these country roads," she said. "Still, it would have been more proper for James to drive me." "James had a board meeting, remember?" I replied, holding the steering wheel tighter. "My wedding ring caught the morning sunlight. He'll meet us there." The letter in my pocket felt like it was burning a hole through my coat, but I wasn't going to open it while she was watching. Nathan, my father-in-law, had always been different from the rest of the family. He truly saw me, not just my small-town past or my public school background, which Lori clearly thought made me unworthy of her son. "Did Nathan ever mention anything to you?" Lori asked suddenly, her tone sharper than usual. "About the will, I mean." I kept my eyes on the road, but my heart skipped a beat.
"No."
"Why would he?" She laughed in that fake, cold way that always made me feel like I was being made fun of.
"Oh, darling, I was just making small talk."
"Though, he did spend an odd amount of time with you during those last months."
"He was sick."
"I helped take care of him," I said, my voice harder than I meant. "Yes, well, someone had to. Betty was busy with the Paris office, and I had the charity foundation to run." She looked down at her perfectly polished nails, then added, "Still, it makes you wonder who might have influenced him." The tall gates of the estate came into view, and my chest tightened like it always did when we came here. This place never felt like home, no matter how often James told me I'd get used to it. As I pulled up to the mansion, I wasn't so sure I ever would. I saw Betty's Mercedes already parked in the round driveway. My sister-in-law was standing on the steps, talking seriously with Kevin, the family lawyer. Lauren let out a long sigh as she gathered her things. "Try to park properly, dear," she said. "The gardeners get so upset when someone messes up their precious flower beds." I waited until she stepped out of the car before I finally let myself breathe. My hand went to the letter in my pocket, but before I could pull it out, a sudden tap on my window startled me. "Mrs. Stevens," said Paul, an old family friend who had always been kind to me. His face looked worn with age, and his expression was hard to read. "May I speak with you before you go inside?" I stepped out into the cool morning air. "Of course, Paul. Is everything okay?" He looked toward the house, then back at me. "Adam left you something else besides the letter." He pressed a small key into my hand. "The study safe. Behind the Monet painting. He wanted you to see what's in there before the will is read." "Paul, I don't understand." "Trust me, child. And whatever you do, don't let Lauren know you have this." He gently squeezed my shoulder. "You'll need it soon enough." As he walked away, I stood there frozen. The key felt hot in my hand, like a secret too heavy to carry. Through the windows of the mansion, I saw people moving around, getting ready for what everyone thought would be a simple will reading. But the way Paul looked at me, the weight of the key, and the unopened letter in my pocket told me this was going to be anything but simple. I took a deep breath and walked toward the house, knowing something big was about to happen. I just didn't know what. The study felt smaller than I remembered. It was full of family members, most of them avoiding eye contact with me. Before the will reading began, I'd quickly snuck away with the key Paul gave me. I opened the safe, but it was empty, except for a single note. "Patience, little bird. A." Kevin's voice suddenly rose above the quiet conversations. "Shall we begin?" He stood behind Adam's huge oak desk, looking every bit like the perfect family lawyer in his sharp suit. Betty walked past me and sat in the leather chair closest to the desk, shooting me a cold look. Some of us have actual business to get back to, he muttered. James gently squeezed my hand as we sat down on the old love seat. He looked tired, probably from the board meeting earlier. As expected, Lauren had taken Adam's chair, a move that didn't go unnoticed. Before we begin, Kevin said, adjusting his glasses, I should mention that there were some recent changes made to the will. The room suddenly felt colder. Lori's perfect smile twitched. Changes? She asked sharply. When were these made? 3 weeks before Adam passed away, Kevin answered. He pulled a thick envelope from his briefcase. Everything was properly signed and witnessed, I assure you. Just get on with it, Betty snapped, checking her phone again. Kevin cleared his throat. To my dear wife Lori, I leave our Paris home and a yearly allowance of. I tried to listen, but the words started to blur. He read off the usual things. Art, houses, trust funds, all the typical things wealthy families pass down. Everything was going as expected, until... And finally, Kevin said, pausing. His eyes met mine for a moment. To my daughter-in-law Karen, I leave my controlling shares in Cohan Industries. This takes effect immediately. The silence that followed was overwhelming. That's impossible, Lori said, her voice shaking with anger. There must be a mistake. There isn't, Kevin replied, showing another paper. Mr. Cohan was very clear about this. Betty's face went pale. She can't do that. She doesn't even know how to run a company. I taught her, said a calm voice from the doorway. It was Paul. He looked both sad and proud. Adam asked me to teach her over the past 3 years, while the rest of you were too busy to notice. James's hand went limp in mine. I looked at him, but his face showed nothing. This is outrageous, Lori shouted, jumping from her chair so fast it made a loud noise. She took advantage of him while he was sick and weak. That's enough, Mother, James said firmly, but quietly. Dad knew exactly what he was doing. Did he? Betty asked with a bitter laugh. Did you know about this, James? Were you part of this little plan? I finally found my voice. No one planned anything. I didn't know about it either. Oh, please, stop pretending, Lori snapped, eyes cold. You've been working your way into his favor from the beginning while we were the ones actually running the business. The business that's been losing money under your watch, Paul said as he stepped fully into the room. Adam saw how you nearly ruined it with your careless spending and selfish projects. How dare you? Lori began, but Kevin cut her off. There's more, he said, holding up another sheet of paper. A letter to be read if anyone tries to challenge Adam's decision. The warning hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Whatever was in that letter, Lori didn't want it read. She slowly sat back down, her lips tight with anger. Well, Betty muttered, picking up her expensive handbag. I guess congratulations are in order, dear sister-in-law, Betty said as she walked out. Just try not to ruin our family legacy too quickly. Lauren followed right behind her. I caught a glimpse of them sharing a look that made my stomach turn. James muttered something about needing fresh air and walked out too, leaving me alone with Kevin and Paul. There are some papers you'll need to sign, Kevin said gently. Also, there's an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. Paul stepped closer, his voice quiet. You'll need to be careful now, child. They're not going to accept this quietly. I nodded, my fingers touching the note I had found in the safe. Patience, little bird. Whatever Adam had been planning, and whatever was about to happen, I knew this was just the beginning. I'm ready, I said, standing tall. Show me where to sign. As I sat in Adam's old office, now mine, a memory came rushing back. It was a rainy Friday afternoon 3 years ago when things had started to change. Come in, little bird, Adam had called out as I brought him his afternoon tea. He was sitting in this very leather chair, looking out over the garden. Tell me, what do you see when you look at all this? He asked. I hesitated as I set the tea tray down. I see something beautiful, I said, but it's starting to fall apart around the edges. He laughed warmly, a sound so unlike his wife's fake little laugh. Exactly, he said. You see what the others refuse to. A knock at the door brought me back to the present. Paul walked in, holding a stack of files. "Found these in Adam's private safe at the Paris office," he said, placing them on the desk. "You'll want to read them closely." I opened the first file and gasped. It was full of financial records, 2 years' worth showing money being sent to offshore accounts. "Lily?" I asked, even though I already knew. Paul nodded. "And Betty? They've been moving money through the charity foundation for years. Adam found out 7 months before he died. Why didn't he stop them? He needed proof, solid evidence that could hold up in court," Paul said as he sat down across from me. "That's when he started teaching you about the business. Through me. He knew they'd never suspect anything." Suddenly, the door flew open and James stormed in. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked, furious. "Tell you what?" I asked, surprised by his tone. "That Dad was secretly training you," he said. "That Paul was giving you lessons. That he wanted you to take over." His voice shook a little. "I'm your husband, Karen. We're supposed to be honest with each other." "I didn't know what the lessons were for," I said quietly. "Adam just told me that everyone should understand the family business. I thought he just wanted me to fit in." Paul cleared his throat. "Your father knew you had no interest in running the company, James. You've said it many times yourself." "That's not the point," James said, running his hands through his hair in frustration. "Mother is already talking about fighting the will. And Betty has called for an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. They're going to try to push you out." I picked up one of the files. "Let them try." "No, I mean it," I said firmly, handing the file to him. "Your father didn't just leave me the company. He left me the truth." James's face turned pale as he read. "This can't be real. Mother would never." "She did," I said. "And your sister helped her." Paul walked over to the window. "The foundation's finances are a mess. They've been stealing millions through fake accounting." A soft knock on the door stopped us. Kevin walked in, looking serious. "We have a problem," he said. "The private vault at the bank. It's been emptied." "What?" Paul turned around quickly. "This morning," Kevin said. "Lily had access." Kevin adjusted his glasses nervously. "Whatever was in there, the original documents, they're gone." "Adam kept the originals there," Paul said, his voice low. My heart sank for a moment, but then I remembered the empty safe and Adam's note. "Patience, little bird." He must have expected this. "It doesn't matter," I said, standing tall. "These copies are certified. And I'm sure we'll find a long trail of evidence if we look hard enough." James was still staring at the documents. "I can't believe they'd do something like this." "Believe it," Paul said. "Your father did. That's why he made sure Karen had the power to fix it." There was another knock, and this time Betty walked in without waiting. She stopped when she saw all of us together. "Well, isn't this cozy?" she said, smiling, but there was no warmth in her eyes. "Having a little family meeting without Mother and me?" "Just going over some interesting papers," I said, keeping my eyes on her. "About the foundation's money." I saw a small twitch in her carefully calm face. That was all I needed to know. "The board meeting has been moved," she said quickly. "It's now tonight. At 9. Don't be late, dear sister-in-law. Wouldn't want you to miss your first meeting as the controlling shareholder." After she left, James turned to me. "What are you going to do?" I looked at the files spread across the desk, then at Paul and Kevin. Adam had given me everything I needed. Now I just had to be strong enough to act. "I'm going to do exactly what your father wanted," I said. I'm going to save this company," I told James, "even if I have to take down your mother and sister to do it." The sun was setting outside the office windows, casting long shadows across the room. In just a few hours, I would stand in front of the board and my family with the truth. Adam had trusted me with everything. I wouldn't let him down. The boardroom felt like a battlefield as I sat at the head of the long table. 15 board members stared at me, most of them with cold, unfriendly eyes. Lauren and Betty sat side by side, both looking angry and smug. "Before we begin," Lauren said sharply, "I move that we question the changes in company leadership." "The will has already been verified," Kevin said from the corner of the room. "Several times." Still, Betty added, tapping her nails on the table, we're concerned about Karen's ability to lead. I connected my laptop to the projector. Speaking of ability, let's look at the Foundation's financial reports. That's not on the agenda, Lauren snapped. It is now, I replied, pulling up the first spreadsheet. As the controlling shareholder, I'm adding it. The room went silent as the screen filled with numbers, lots of problems, strange transfers, and messy bookkeeping. I clicked through each slide, watching Lauren's face turn pale. These records are incomplete, Betty said, but her voice shook a little. Actually, Paul said, stepping into the room and making a few board members jump. They're complete. The accountants just finished their first review. Lauren pushed her chair back. This meeting is over. Sit down, Mother, James said firmly. Everyone was surprised. He hadn't spoken a word until now. Let's hear all of it. I clicked to the next slide. Over the past 2 years, about $50 million was moved from company funds through the charity foundation. That money was then sent through fake companies and ended up in private accounts in the Hawaii. You can't prove this, Betty hissed. Actually, we can, Paul said, dropping a thick folder on the table. Adam kept detailed records. He waited until he had everything before acting. An older board member, Mr. Ryan, cleared his throat. Are you saying this is embezzlement, Mrs. Stephen? I'm not guessing, I said, looking straight at Lauren. I'm giving you the facts. And these facts will go to the police unless certain steps are taken. You wouldn't dare, Lauren whispered. This will ruin the company's name. Not if we handle it quietly, I said, placing both hands on the table. Starting now, both of you will resign from all your roles in the company and the foundation. You'll return every stolen dollar, with interest, and you'll hand over your remaining shares to the company. Or what? Betty said, her voice full of poison. You'll send us to prison? Your own family? Family? I laughed, but there was no joy in it. You've never treated me like family. And yes, that's exactly what I'll do. James stood up. I agree with everything Karen just said. And before anyone tries to argue, remember, between her shares and mine, we have enough votes to make the decisions. The board members shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Ryan spoke up again. Maybe we should take a short break to think. There's nothing to think about. I cut in. The documents are ready. Sign them now, or I'll call the FBI. Lauren's face twisted with rage. You manipulative little. Careful, Mother, James interrupted. Remember who's in control now. Kevin came forward with the paperwork. No one moved at first. Then, with shaking hands, whether from fear or anger, Lauren picked up the pen. Betty followed her, silent tears of shame running down her face. As Kevin checked the signatures, Paul stepped up beside me and gently touched my shoulder. There's something else, he said. We found proof that someone tampered with Adam's medicine during his last weeks. The room went completely silent. That's a lie, Lauren whispered, but her face turned pale. We've already told the police, Paul said calmly. They'll want to question both of you. 2 uniformed officers appeared at the door. Not company security, real police. You planned this, Betty said, standing as one officer approached her. You set this whole thing up. No, I said softly. Your father did. He knew exactly who you both were. This was his last gift, to protect the company and me from the real threats to his legacy. As they were taken away, Lauren turned back one last time. This isn't over, Karen. Actually, it is, I replied, gathering my papers. I could feel all the board members watching in stunned silence. Kevin, I said, please hand out the restructuring plans. We got a company to run. After the room cleared, James stayed behind, looking at me like he didn't quite recognize me. I never knew you had this in you, he said. Neither did I replied. But your father did. Paul returned with fresh coffee and a serious look. Don't get too comfortable, he warned. The hard part starts now. Running this company won't be easy. Good thing I had a great teacher, I said, settling into my chair. Now let's get to work. 2 weeks after that intense boardroom meeting, I learned just how deep the problems really went. Paul rushed into my office one morning, clearly upset. He usually stayed calm, so I knew it was serious. Someone's been messing with the computer system, he said, dropping a stack of papers on my desk. They're deleting records. I grabbed the top page.
How?
We changed all the passwords. It's coming from inside, Paul said, his face tight. They're using Lauren's old login. Somehow, it still works, even after the system update. Just then, a knock came at the door. It was Ryan, looking uncomfortable. Mrs. Stephen, he said, there's a problem in the research department. The entire development team is threatening to quit.
What? Why?
Their funding was cut, he said, shifting nervously. The paperwork came in this morning, and it has your signature on it. I stood up so fast my chair rolled back. I never signed anything like that. That's not all, Paul added. 4 of our biggest clients called this morning. Someone told them we're about to declare bankruptcy. My phone buzzed. It was a message from James. Turn on the financial news now. I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. The headline hit me like ice. Cohan Industries stock drops fast amid leadership crisis. This is a planned attack, Paul said quietly. They're trying to shake the company from all sides. I grabbed my phone. Kevin, get up here, now. Bring every file on system permissions from the last 3 years. Within an hour, my office looked like a war room. Kevin spread documents all over the conference table. Paul worked with IT to track the system hacks. Here, Kevin said, pointing at a signature. This file shows that 2 days before Adam died, permanent system access was given to a list of executives, including Lauren and Betty. But they're under house arrest, I said. How are they still doing this? They're not alone, James said as he walked in. Mother just called me. She told me to tell you. This is just the beginning. I slammed my hand on the table. Get the head of IT in here now. 30 minutes later, a nervous man named Timothy sat across from me. The permissions are locked into the system, he said. We can't remove them without shutting down everything for at least 72 hours. Then shut it down, I ordered. Losing access for 3 days is better than what they're planning next. I turned to Paul. How fast can we put emergency plans in place? Already working on it, he said, handing me a tablet. But you need to see this too. The deleted files aren't random, they're targeting specific projects. All of them link back to something Adam started last year. I looked through the files. Project Novarise? I said. I've never heard of this. Few people have, Kevin said. It was Adam's secret project, something about a new kind of clean energy. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. It made my heart stop. Looking for Project Novarise? Check the summer house safe. Better hurry. Paul, I said, standing up. Come with me. James, stay here and manage the system shutdown. Kevin, start calling our top shareholders. Tell them we're handling the situation. The drive to the summer house took 30 minutes, but it felt like forever. This could be a trap, Paul warned as we pulled up to the quiet house. Maybe, I said, getting out of the car. But we need those files. The house was too quiet. I didn't like it. The safe was hidden behind a painting in the study, just like in the main house. My hands were shaking as I entered the code for the safe. Inside was just one USB drive and a small note. Insurance policy activated, H. Adam, Paul whispered. He knew this might happen. We both froze at the sound of footsteps downstairs. Back door, Paul said quietly. We slipped out just as voices echoed through the house. Back in the car, I plugged the USB into my laptop.
What I saw made me gasp.
Oh my God. The screen was filled with video files, dozens of them. They showed Lauren meeting with different company executives. They weren't just talking about stolen money. The videos showed them discussing spying on other companies, illegal trading, and even blackmail. This isn't just about stealing money, Paul said quietly. This is about control. They've been secretly running their own operation inside the company for years.
My phone buzzed again.
Another message. Now you know.
What are you going to do about it?
I started the car, my mind spinning. Call James. Tell him to gather the board. Emergency meeting. What's the plan? Paul asked. I gripped the steering wheel, thinking of Adam's careful moves that led to this moment. They want to play dirty? Fine. Let's show them how it's really done. The USB drive felt heavy in my pocket as we drove back to the city. Whatever came next, I knew one thing for sure. This was war. You can't be serious, James said, staring at me across our kitchen table that evening. A family dinner? I was typing invitations on my phone. Trust me, it's the perfect setup. It's insane, he said. Mother and Betty are under house arrest. The company is in chaos. And you want to throw a dinner party? Actually, Paul said from his spot by the window. It's smart. A neutral place. Witnesses present. And they won't see it coming. My phone buzzed. A reply from Lauren. How thoughtful. We'd be delighted. Their lawyers approved temporary release for a family gathering, I said, showing James the message. Of course they're coming, Paul said with a cold smile. They think they're still in control. The next evening, our dining room looked like a stage set for a final act. I hired professional security to quietly watch the exits. Kevin sat in the corner, pretending to work on his laptop, but really, he was recording everything. Lauren arrived first, dressed perfectly even with an ankle monitor. She leaned in and gave me an air kiss. Darling, she said sweetly. How brave of you to host, given the situation. Betty came next, her expensive outfit barely hiding her ankle monitor. Lovely home.
So charming, she said.
Please have a seat, I told them. Wine. You seem calm, Betty said as she sat down. Especially considering your company is falling apart. I poured the wine slowly. Odd, isn't it? Our stock actually went back up this morning. Lauren's smile twitched. Just a temporary change, I'm sure. Like your house arrest, I replied, smiling back. I sat at the head of the table. How are those ankle monitors treating you? I asked calmly. You smug little, Betty started, but Lauren gently touched her arm. Let's stay civil, Lauren said sweetly. After all, we're family. Speaking of family, I said, pressing a button on my phone. The dining room TV turned on. Let's watch some home videos. Their faces went pale as the first video started playing, Lauren, in her office, talking about insider trading with a board member who had since run off to Mexico. Turn that off, Betty shouted. Why? I asked. It gets even better. I played another clip, Betty meeting secretly with competitors, handing over private company information. Adam had quite the video collection. You're bluffing, Lauren said, her voice a little shaky. These could be fake. The SEC doesn't think so, I said, placing a folder on the table. They're very interested in these videos, especially the ones about Project Novarise. James, who had stayed quiet until now, leaned forward. What is Project Novarise, Mother? What was so important that you'd ruin the company to keep it secret? Clean energy, Paul said, entering the room. Technology that could replace fossil fuels. Worth billions if it works. If you hand those videos over, Betty said in a low, tense voice, you'll destroy everything. The company will never survive the scandal. Unless, I said, taking a sip of wine, we have a different kind of family meeting, one where you tell me everything about Project Novarise and the other things you've been hiding. In return, the videos stay private. Lauren gave a short, cold laugh. You're blackmailing us. I prefer to call it a deal, I said, pulling out another folder. Sign these. Full confession, full cooperation. In return, the videos never go public. And if we don't? Betty asked. I pressed another button. A new video started playing, Lauren discussing Adam's medication with someone off screen. I was trying to protect you, I said quietly. But if you push me, everything comes out. The room went quiet. Only the awful video played in the background. James didn't move. His face turned pale as he watched his own mother talk about his father's final days. You wouldn't, Lauren whispered. It would destroy James too. Try me, I said, sliding the papers closer. Betty grabbed the pen first, her hand shaking. You're just like him, you know. Adam. Always 4 steps ahead. He taught me well, I replied, watching as Lauren slowly reached for the second pen. Oh, and one more thing, I added. Project Novarise launches next week, under my control. You found the blueprints? Lauren's head snapped up. In the summer house safe, I said, along with everything else we needed. I stood, collecting the signed confessions. Dinner's over. The officers outside will take you home. As they were let out, James turned to me. Did you really find Project Novarise? Better, I said, pulling out the USB drive. I found proof it works, I said. Your father had a working model. It's been powering the summer house for months. Paul let out a low whistle. So that's why they were so desperate to stop you. They wanted to hide it. I nodded. They wanted to keep the old money flowing, but Adam had different plans. And now? James asked quietly. I looked at the signed confessions and thought about how every move had finally come together. Now we build something new, something better. Just like your father wanted. The security footage showed Lauren and Betty being driven away, their faces glowing in the light of the setting sun. They had made their final move and lost. Now it was time to rebuild the future. Their future. My future. The company's future. One that would honor Adam's dream. The press conference for Project Novarise was set for 3 p.m. But at 2:30, everything went wrong. The prototype is gone. Timothy from IT burst into my office, pale and breathless. Someone broke into the summer house lab last night. I was already reaching for my phone when it rang. Mrs. Stephen? It was Lauren's house arrest officer. We have a problem. Her ankle monitor was tampered with. She's gone, isn't she? Yes, ma'am. And she left a message. Check the stock market. I turned on the TV just in time to see our stock price crashing. The news headline scrolled across the screen. Breaking, Cohan Industries CEO accused of corporate espionage. Leaked documents from anonymous source. They leaked everything, Paul said, walking into the room. But they changed the documents. It now looks like you and Adam were the ones stealing the technology. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from Betty. Did you really think ankle monitors would stop us? The press conference should be fun. Where's James? I asked. Right here, he said, walking in with a grim look. Mother just called me. She says they're going to the press conference with fake proof that you murdered Dad. What? I said, stunned. They faked his medical records, Paul explained. Made it look like you were the one messing with his medicine. I slammed my hand on the desk. Get Kevin up here now. And call Ryan. I want the whole board on a video call in 7 minutes. The next 30 minutes were chaos. Board members shouted on video. Lawyers rushed through files. PR teams scrambled to fix the story. The press conference starts in 40 minutes, Kevin reminded me. Should we cancel? We're not canceling, I said, standing. We're changing the location. Call everyone. Move it to the main auditorium at the estate. The estate? James asked, confused. Why? Because that's where Adam kept his real backup plan. I turned to Paul. The study safe, the one we thought was empty. What if it wasn't? Paul's eyes widened. You think Lauren took something from it? Yes, I said. The original confession videos. And I think I know where she hid them. I grabbed my keys. James, come with me. Paul, hold off the press. Kevin, call the police. Send backup to the estate. The drive was quiet and tense. As we pulled into the driveway, we saw another car already there. It's Lauren's, James whispered. They're already here. We found them in Adam's study. Lauren and Betty were tearing the room apart, looking frantic. Looking for these? I said, holding up a set of video drives I had taken from a hidden spot behind the safe, a secret compartment Adam had shown me months ago. How did you? Lauren turned around, shocked. Adam showed me all his hiding places, I said, giving a cold smile. That safe was a decoy. He knew you'd check it during the will reading. It doesn't matter, Betty snapped. We have enough to ruin you. With fake evidence. James stepped forward. Did you really think Dad wouldn't protect her? That he didn't see this coming? He was sick, Lauren hissed. He was confused. She tricked him. Actually, a new voice said. We all turned. Paul stood in the doorway holding a tablet. Adam recorded everything, including your talks about killing him. He pressed play. Lauren's voice filled the room. The medicine isn't working fast enough. We need him gone before he changes the will. James stepped back in shock. Mother, it was just business, she said coldly. He was going to destroy everything we worked for. No, I said firmly. He was going to reveal everything you stole. In the distance, we heard police sirens getting closer. It's over, Paul said quietly. The board already has the real documents. The press is on their way here, not downtown. Your little plan is finished. You can't prove anything, Betty said, her voice shaking. Really? I replied. I played another video, security camera footage from the night before, showing them breaking into the summer house. And the prototype? I added. That one's a fake. The real one is hidden somewhere safe, just like Adam planned. The police arrived, this time with federal agents. Lauren Cohan, Betty Cohan, one of the agents said, you are under arrest for conspiracy, corporate fraud, and suspected murder. As they were let out in handcuffs, Lauren turned to me one last time. You think you've won? You'll never be one of us. Good, I replied. I don't want to be. I want to be who Adam believed I could be, someone who fixes what's broken. The press showed up just as the police cars drove off. Cameras flashed as I stepped up to the podium. James stood beside me, ready. Are you ready to tell the truth about Project Novarise and the future of Cohan Industries? I asked him. James gave my hand a squeeze. Let's do it. I thought about Adam, about all the careful plans he made, and the trust he placed in me. Behind us, sunlight streamed through the study windows, casting long shadows on the floor. It felt like both an ending and a beginning. The truth was finally out, and with it came the chance to build something new from the ruins of the past. The autumn wind blew gently around the cemetery as I placed fresh flowers on Adam's grave. I held the morning newspaper under my arm. The headline announced Lauren and Betty had been found guilty. I wish you could see it, I whispered to the headstone. Project Novarise is changing everything, just like you planned. He knew it would, Paul said, walking up behind me. His footsteps crunched on the fallen leaves. The board meeting's about to start. They're voting on the expansion today. I gently traced Adam's name on the stone. Did you bring it? Paul handed me a sealed envelope. Found it in his personal things. It was marked for today's date. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a photo Adam and me in his study, taken during one of our early lessons. On the back, he'd written, "The future isn't about where you came from, little bird. It's about where you choose to fly." Mrs. Stephen, Kevin called from the cemetery gate. "They're ready for you." The boardroom felt different now. The heavy tension was gone, replaced by quiet excitement. Ryan smiled as I walked in and pointed to the screen. "Project Novarise has passed every goal," he said proudly. "Our clean energy project has tripled the company's value." "And the foundation?" I asked as I took my seat. "Completely rebuilt," Kevin answered. "The new programs are actually helping people now, not hiding money in secret accounts." James gently squeezed my hand under the table. We had survived everything, and our marriage was stronger because of it. "There's one more thing," Paul said, standing. "The FBI finished their investigation into Adam's death. They found proof that Lauren had been planning it for over a year." The room went silent. In front of me sat Adam's old chess set, which I'd moved into the boardroom after taking over. I picked up the queen piece, remembering how he had taught me to always think ahead. "The press is outside," Kevin said. "They want a statement about the verdicts." "Let them wait," I said, standing up. "There's something more important we need to talk about. Adam left one last project." I continued. "He called it Legacy." I handed out the folders I had prepared. "It's a full plan to reshape the company, profit sharing for employees, honest investments, and a focus on doing good. Everything Adam wanted for the future. It's time to make it real." He wanted this future, but couldn't make it happen while dealing with all the corruption. Ryan adjusted his glasses as he read through the papers. "This would change everything about how the company works." Exactly, I said with a smile. No more old money tricks. No more family power games. Just real business based on new ideas and honesty. The old guard won't like it, Paul warned, though he smiled too. The old guard is in prison, James reminded him. It's time for something new. The vote was unanimous. One by one, the board members walked out, each stopping to shake my hand. I could feel Adam's presence in the room. He had seen this moment coming and had quietly prepared me for it in 100 small ways. Ready for the press? Kevin asked, holding the door open. I picked up my papers, then paused beside Adam's old chair. From there, you could see the whole city through the windows, all the people we could help, all the good we could do. Actually, I said, let's hold the press conference at the summer house lab. Let them see Project Novarise for themselves. Let them see what the future really looks like. Outside, the autumn sun finally broke through the clouds, casting long shadows over the city. My phone buzzed, a message from the prison warden. Lauren wants to meet. Are you going to go? James asked, reading over my shoulder. I deleted the message without replying. Some chapters need to stay closed. Paul walked in with our coats. The cars are ready. The press is already gathering at the lab. As we rode down in the elevator, I thought about that first car ride with Lauren, how she looked down on me, never thinking I'd be the one standing here today. The letter Adam gave me that day was still in my desk drawer. Now I understood what it meant. Trust yourself, little bird. The nest was never big enough for your wings. What are you thinking about? James asked as we stepped into the lobby. I took his hand and looked ahead at the glass doors, where cameras waited. I'm thinking your father would be proud. Not just of what we've done, but what we're about to do. And what's that? He asked. Change the world, I said with a smile. One project at a time. The doors opened to camera flashes and reporters shouting questions. But this time, I wasn't an outsider trying to prove I belonged. I was right where I was meant to be, carrying forward a legacy not built on power or money, but on one simple truth. Doing the right thing is good business. Adam had always known that. And now so did I.